Here, let's see. All right, welcome to the Mind of the Master series. It's going to be just 8 weeks. We're going to be working through the workbook that you see here on your screen. This is available in a PDF format currently, but this week I'll release like an audiobook version as well, so you can listen through it that way. But I don't want to waste any time, especially since today's module is about time management. So I'm gonna go ahead and just let it read through the first chapter, and then there's some exercises that we're gonna work through. So let's pay close attention, and then once we get to the first exercise, we'll stop and take about 10 minutes, and we'll do that first exercise, and then we'll move forward.
Awesome, brother.
This book will change your life. The reason you have this book in your hand is to learn to be more accountable in your life. In order for you to reap the benefits of this book, you need to follow the steps. Before you begin working, the first step is to thank God for the opportunity to undergo this process. Ask Him for His guidance as you fill out each page. Ask that He would speak to you in ways He hasn't before, and take the time to listen. We all have the same amount of time in a day. Nobody has 25 hours, and despite what you may think, nobody has 23 hours. I hear it so often that people don't have the time to pursue their goals and dreams, or even the things of God. This is not only false, but this belief will limit you and your ability to walk in the fullness of what God has for you. This book is going to be a tactical approach to a closer walk with God and a fulfilling life. Let's start with getting a handle on your time. 2. Chapter 1. Time management. 3. 10-minute exercise. List all of the things you do on a weekly basis. The first exercise is for you to write down everything you do on a weekly basis. Take the kids to soccer, go to the gym, work, church, men's group, write it all down. I don't want you to leave out anything. This is going to take some time, so before you shortchange yourself, make sure you allow at least 10 minutes to put together this list. Don't worry about organizing it, we're going to do that next. When you write a task, include how long it takes. Task description time required, minutes.
All right, so you guys can see this first little table here. We're gonna do a 10-minute timer. That might be backwards on your guys' screen, but if you have a piece of paper handy or just a notepad on your phone, we're just gonna go through and just list out all the things that we do every week in 2 columns. So on the left-hand side, it'll be whatever those tasks are, and then on the right-hand side, you're gonna fill in how long those tasks usually take. I'm gonna go ahead and just start the timer for 10 minutes, and just we'll go ahead and work through all of it together. I'm gonna do it alongside of you guys, and just dump everything. I mean, you don't have to put like go into the bathroom, but like put your lunches and put all the activities you do, and if there's different tasks that you perform at work and stuff, just really try to get everything into there. If you go to the gym, or if you have meetings or anything that's like recurring, or anything that you usually do, try to be really detailed about that stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and start it up now. Got about 2 minutes left. Okay. Well, we got about 20 seconds left, but I'm gonna go ahead and just make some comments here. So yeah, doing this is really a good way of kind of getting it all out there and really causing us to think about, what are we spending our time on? And that's the timer right there. So but yeah, so I mean, just looking at, you know, all the things that I do during the week and the amount of time that I think that I'm spending on those things, just right away, I'm able to see, okay, well, I'm spending more time on social media than I'm spending, doing Bible study, right? So that's, you can just go look on the surface before we even get into like what we're going to do with this information, and you can automatically just start realizing where you're spending time on things that you wish you were spending it in other places, if that makes sense. So good job getting that done. Let me see if I can get it to pick up right here.
4. Now that we've got an idea of where we're spending our time, let's plug these things into our week. This exercise should take you about 10 minutes. If it takes longer, don't worry about it, because you can take as much time as you need and you only have to do this once. You can see the days of the week along the top of the table. Under the hour column, fill in the cells starting with the time you usually wake up most days or would like to.
All right, well, something that I usually do is I wake up every day at the same time. I go to bed around the same time with little variation on weekdays and weekends, and I keep the same wake up time. So this is not for everybody, but by doing this, I'm able to optimize my sleep and my routine, since I don't have to start over every Monday. Let's see if I can get it to pick back up here.
Something that I do is I wake up every day at the same time.
All right, I'm just gonna read this next section real quick. So once you have your hours filled in, which is the exercise we just did, set a timer on your phone for 10 minutes, but I'll do it here with this, and we'll use that time to write our typical week schedule. Winston Churchill said, perfection is the enemy of progress. So don't worry about missing something or writing in something that's not accurate. What I want you to see is what your typical week looks like and where most of your time goes. In this segment, we're not going to go overboard on the details, so just go ahead and get started. And you guys can see on the screen an example of what this table will look like. So if you have like your journal or a blank piece of paper or something, I would recommend just kind of scoring it like this, with an hour column on the left, and then I guess 7 boxes to the right of the hour column. And then you can just put at the top, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or you can just put the letters like I did here. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be plugging in all those things that we wrote on the last page, with all the times and everything like that. We're going to plug those into our week and just kind of see how everything like looks on the grid here. So I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes here to go ahead and kick off on that. And let's get started. All right, so that's 10 minutes there. Feel free to keep working if you didn't quite get where you wanted to with it and stuff. I'm just gonna share a couple of comments on this one. So as you can see, it's kind of difficult to put this stuff in there and think about it, you know, but doing the stuff that's difficult is what's going to actually provide the most value to us later. You know, most people don't take the time to plan out their weeks. Now we're doing it kind of, we're just assuming, you know, a lot of like, since we had Sunday yesterday, I was able to pretty accurately fill out the first column for where my time went yesterday, which was not where I wanted it to go, right? But for today, you know, we can get about halfway done with today, filling out the stuff that we've been doing today. But the rest of the week, you know, it's we're just kind of we're guessing at this point, right? So, but the point of doing this is so that we can kind of try to think about, okay, well, where does my time usually go and stuff. So having a plan really helps. So once we have that plan, what we would do is, I don't think I have a sheet for it here, but I'm gonna send you guys a copy of one of these. Let me see if I have a blank one. Yeah. So you can see these, what we do with that sheet is we fill in every 10 minutes, we fill in. So 9:20, 9:30, 9:40, 9:50, 9 or 10 o'clock, you know, we write out all of the different times of the day, and it's called a time audit. So what you would do is you'd have this first sheet, you know, which was your plan, where you planned to spend your time for the week. And then you'll go every day and you'll fill out a time audit sheet to find out how long things are actually taking and where your time is actually going, which is a very difficult practice to do, but you really only have to do it, you know, do it for a week, and it really, it illuminates maybe where some of that bleed is in your schedule. So maybe you thought you were only spending an hour in the car every day, but when you started being accountable every 10 minutes for what you're doing, you realize that you're really spending about 2.5 hours in the car, you know, for example. Or you know, what helped me a lot was the social media. You know, if I had to write down what I was doing every 10 minutes, it would be really hard for me to get stuck doom scrolling, you know, on Instagram or TikTok or something, because, you know, every 10 minutes I would have to write that I didn't do anything but just doom scroll. So it's very, very helpful, because, you know, the one of the big time suckers is social media. So if I had to guess, you probably had a lot of space dedicated to work. Me too. I mean, most of my stuff was actually work. Um, but the truth is, most of us spend the majority of our day working. There's really no way around this. Fortunately, just because we're working doesn't mean we can't be making the most of our time. So I've always challenged myself when it came to work. I always wanted to be faster and more efficient. The more value that you can deliver in less time, the more valuable you will be in the marketplace, meaning the more you will get paid. So while it's good that we block out time in our days towards work, what are we doing at work? Like, how long does it usually take? Is there a way that it can be done faster? Asking questions like these will help you to perform at a higher level, which will gain you recognition and peace of mind. I found the more competent I feel in my role, the more fulfilled I feel overall. The more responsible you are, the more you feel in control. When we feel we are in control, there is peace that cannot be found when we are constantly in reactive mode. This is why planning our days is such a crucial step towards increasing not just our productivity, but our joy. How much time did you account for social media? You want to see a scary statistic? The daily average of social media use is 151 minutes per day. That's 2.5 hours. So if you don't believe me, your phone tracks the amount of time that you spend on each app. I encourage you to take a look at that. For a lot of us, finding an extra 17 hours a week would transform our lives in unspeakable ways. What would you do with that time? Even if that was an hour a day, what would you do with that time? You could learn a skill, you could spend more time in the things of God, you could help others, you could read books, you could spend more time with your family, or even work on this book. So another big chunk of time you may or may not have accounted for is driving and travel. The average person spends 7 to 11 hours in the car every week. Let's say it's 7. What are you doing for that hour each day that you're in the car? Are you just taking phone calls? Are you listening to the radio? Maybe you're just sitting silently and observing the other people on the road. However, most people that I know listen to music. I used to drive a lot for work. I would spend 4 to 5 hours in the car every day at a minimum. At first, I listened to music, but once I got born again and began to seek the things of God, that changed. I began to listen to ministers and sermons, and then I became exposed to self help books. A fire was lit inside of me, and I began listening to audiobooks when I was in the car. I would listen to a couple of books a week. This is where my life really took off. If you even spend 30 minutes a day in the car, don't let that time be wasted. Use it to learn more about God and to be encouraged. Use it constructively to listen to books and to develop yourself. This discipline will cause you to grow in ways that you would not even believe. The highest and best use of your time in the car, especially if you're alone, is to get closer to God. Praising Him and thanking Him and praying and just basking in His glory will allow you to experience a deeper relationship with Him, with our Creator. The more you seek Him, the more you will find Him. So that's it for the time management chapter. As I mentioned, I do have some like bonus stuff for you guys. Since I do have a couple of you guys here, I'll just ask for maybe some feedback from you. Corey, how has this been helpful for you so far? Has this been good for you?
Yeah, man. It's definitely good to see the metrics, right? Of productivity, family time, personal time, business, I got a little confused on the second exercise, the
Yep.
chart.
Yep.
Because I seen and I think I missed a little bit of the introduction, just a teens when you were explaining. But like I see the hours on the left hand side, right?
Yep.
And then the day, the days up top. So is this designed for like, so on each box under Sunday, right?
Mhm.
That is where you would notate the things you do, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So let me see if there's a way I can fill this out just to show you kind of what it would look like. So for me, like my day usually starts at 5. So I would put 5, 6, 7, 8,
Oh,
9.
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
There's the set. That's like the actual set time, that like the hour.
Yep. Uh-huh. Yep.
Now I got you. That makes it all right there, buddy.
Yep. And then so like for example, on Sunday I would do like a Bible study, and then let's see if I can format that a little better. Yay. And then I would maybe do like a breakfast or a workout or something.
See, right.
And then I would do maybe travel because I'll be in the car. Then I'll be doing church. And I'll do church again. And then yesterday did lunch after. And then we did went to a gender reveal. So basically, yeah, just if, for example, I have in here some stuff that was like, you know, and most of the times that I filled out on the first exercise were just rounded, right? It was like an hour, half hour, something like that. But this is just to give us kind of a general idea of like where are we spending our time, like, and in this sheet we kind of lay it out on the week to see where everything actually falls. So let me see, like I'll fill out what my Monday schedule was. So meeting, then I did Bible study. Oh. Then I did prep for this, and then we did our Zoom. And then I'm going to be in the car for a while. Then I'm going to do site visit. So you can kind of see.
Is this like as you go through the week, or is it like something you would reflect back last week and then do it all?
So it would be to project your week, but you can use, like, you could fill out one for last week and say, here's where I spent, but it's really hard to remember what you were doing every hour of the last week, you know? So what you want to do is use this going forward for the week ahead and say, here's where I think I'm going to spend my time. And then I'm going to have another sheet that I'll send you guys that you'll be filling out every day, which will actually help you to see how accurate those were. So if I said I was going to be spending an hour on these site visits, it's really probably going to be more like 30 minutes, you know, but there's going to be travel time in there and stuff. So what we'll do is at the end of the week, you'll have all those sheets and you can look back over it and see, okay, well, where did my time actually go versus where did I think that it was going to go, you know? And when I first started doing that, I realized that I had like 3 or 4 hours a day that was going to like social media and stuff like that. Because I've been doing this for like a year and a half or so, something like that. But I found out that I was losing a lot of time to social media. Not on purpose. It was really a habit more than anything else. So I put limits on my phone. So now, you know, there's like maybe like 1 or 2 days a week where I'll like use social media socially, you know, but other than that, I just use it for like posting and that kind of thing. But you can really lose a lot of time there. And then the other really like there's a lot of time that also goes to being in the car or traveling, stuff like that. People don't realize. But really, like the reason I left it completely blank was so that everybody could put in kind of the times that they usually will have for each day. Like some people's day starts at 8 o'clock. So then instead of putting a 5 up here, you put 8, 9, 10, then you could like work through and stuff. But the idea is just to get the most out of the time that we have every day. And then that's why those other sheets come in handy, the time audit sheets, because then you can actually check, okay, well, how accurate were my projections for where my time was going to be going and stuff. And but that kind of, does that help a little bit?
It did, yeah, because I drew the chart out and then I'm like, I got stuck, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But previously when I was listing all my stuff, I was already putting down like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday,
Yep.
Saturday and stuff. And then just plugging stuff in. And then you know, like of course, like so Monday I put like everything. And then as the week progressed, I input the things that like I'm not doing on Mondays, right? That I'm doing on different days, like Zoom calls mostly. but yeah, I got to the chart. But so that was my only thing that I missed was like the hour box was the actual time of the day.
Yeah, and I would like it to have been to where it was broken down in like 30-minute increments or something. So I think there's 14 blocks, I want to say. So you could do a 7-hour day broken up into 30-minute increments or whatever. It's really, you know, it's up to whoever fills it out, how they want to fill it out and stuff. But the way that I figured it would be most effective would be to just do it hourly. But you get the idea.
Yeah. Good. It's so like tracking like metrics, like tracking your metrics for your time, just to kind of, and it'll help you kind of stay accountable with what you're trying to do, and then maybe things that you're like say for instance me and training, like I haven't been training for the last, I don't know, month, you know, because I've been putting a lot of time into business, right? Which when you start kind of like writing this stuff out and see, you know, projecting, like, you know, just like I think it really can help with getting to those things that you know you want to be doing, but it's easy to kind of you know, well, damn, I put 12 hours in today, you know, I've worked my butt off, my body is so sore already, that kind of thing. And then it's like months gone by and I haven't even trained, right? So there's like got time in there, because that doesn't make sense.
Well, the other thing too is for me, like when I was doing all the work and everything myself, you know, I would have those 12-hour days very consistently and stuff. And what I really had to challenge myself to do is figure out, like, if I'm spending like 12 hours, you know, like what am I doing for those 12 hours? Like, is it all productive, or are there things that I'm doing that I shouldn't be doing, or did I do things in a manner that was not um it wasn't the most efficient way of doing it, you know? Which was like when I was doing everything myself, I had to be the most efficient that I possibly could, because otherwise I'll be killing myself and never getting anything done. And then with my project manager, what I'm working on him uh, with doing is not doing stuff that is not high value, or it's not doing stuff that is really like what he should be spending his time on. You know, I think I can't remember who said it exactly, but it's like the worst thing somebody can do is do something well that doesn't need to be done at all. You know what I mean? So for him, you know, he was spending 10, 12 hours a day, you know, on job sites and stuff, but like really that's not a good use of his time. Like, you know, so I had to really get on him and start, you know, helping him to manage his time better, so that, you know, he was spending his time on the things that are the best use of his time, things that are actually going to help him to succeed in his role, versus doing things that are just like busy work, you know. But this will be something we're gonna, you know, this is the first kind of time that I'm testing these things out to see how they can be helpful for you, or how we can adjust them to make them a little bit more digestible, or easier to use, easier to fill out, because I want them to be very simple. But I think this is kind of the first step, right? Filling out one of these, seeing, you know, kind of projecting, like being very thoughtful about where you want to spend your time for the week. And then as you go through the week, you know, checking along that. I mean, if this was a 3-hour workshop, we would fill this thing out completely, you know, and then we would open up your Google Calendar and we would fill all these little things into the calendar, so that you're getting prompted, oh, it's time for you to be doing this, it's time for you to be doing that. So if you were doing you know, if you were doing a site visit from 2 to 3, or from 2 to 4, and then all of a sudden it's 4:30 and you had another thing in there, but you're still on a job site, you would realize, oh no, like I did something wrong here, because I was only supposed to be here for 2 hours, but it's been 2.5 hours now, and now it's setting me behind and stuff. And it takes a lot to adjust to like be mindful about your time continually and stuff. But you know, the more valuable your time becomes, then the less of it you really want to waste, you know. And you know, the more value that you're able to bring in a shorter period of time, the more that you're going to be able to get paid. That's why those executives and those people that were like that are high level individuals that are getting paid, you know, $1 million plus salaries and stuff. That's why their time is so valuable, because what they're doing is worth, you know, it saves whatever the company that they're working for, it saves more money than it costs them to pay them for their hour of time. But they don't waste their time doing things that are, you know, that are not going to make the company that they're working for, you know, boatloads of money, or save them, you know, boatloads of money. But yeah, so that's kind of the guiding thought here. We're gonna be working through this and stuff, but again, this is just like the first module. It's just kind of generally trying to help you guys get a good handle on your time. I wouldn't expect you to have everything figured out here in the 1 hour. This is just kind of me demonstrating how we're gonna how do you guys do this stuff, and then maybe it'll take you guys a couple of tries, you know, on your own. I'm going to get all these books printed up and stuff, but for the meantime, you know, I don't know whether it's easier to just pull it up on the computer and then and fill in the little cells. Like I'm using Microsoft whatever PDF reader, and I can just fill in the text. You could also do it on the iPhone, or you can just print it out. But getting this kind of going is going to be really helpful. And so I wanted to also kind of give you guys just some tips. Again, this isn't a 3-hour workshop, so we're not going to go too deep on all these different things. But I just give you guys some things to help you be more productive and more efficient. So so scheduling advice. So there's a couple of different methods that you could be doing things in your schedule in order to be more efficient. The first one is time blocking. I think most people are familiar with this one, but it just is basically plan your time in blocks of similar tasks so that your brain can get into a flow state for the type of task that you're doing during that block. Switching tasks frequently takes a toll on your brain, and it will wear you down faster. I think that they did a study or something that said that if you split your attention between 2 different tasks, then it takes about like 4 times as long to complete those tasks. So time blocking is super helpful if you have, you know, like a handful of sales calls that you need to make or something. Then you want to block out, you know, an hour for your sales, or 30 minutes or something like that, and then do them all at once, because you get into a flow state. Like if you're cold calling, for example, and you have to do 100 cold calls in one day, it's better to do them all at once, because, you know, the first couple of calls you're a little uncomfortable, but then you start getting into your rhythm, you know, and then once you get into the rhythm, then you're able to just knock them out, and you got your script down, and you're not really stumbling when people pick up the phone anymore. But if you like did 20 cold calls and then you went and you did something else, or like if somebody picked up one of your cold calls and then you had to book an appointment for them and stuff, and then you go back to it, you know, it kind of disrupts the flow. So it's better to block out your time and then do everything all at once, you know, if it's like a similar or related task. Like if you're doing some graphic design or something like that, you have like 3 or 4 designs that you need to make up, you know, just block out an hour or 2 for the graphic design, and then just like do them one after the other. So you're in the flow, like you're using the same software for like 2 hours. So like you're getting into it really good, you know, where all the little buttons are and stuff. You're getting, you know, really quick and smooth at it. You enter into that flow state. So it's really important to utilize that practice. Another one is batching, which is it's very similar to time blocking, but batching is just when you compile similar tasks together. So if I have like sales calls, but I also have customer success related phone calls or something that I need to make, or if I have like emails or something like that, if I have just like general communication tasks and stuff, it's good to batch all those tasks together in a certain block so that you're able to like get all of them done at the same time. So batch similar tasks together. For example, do all of your phone calls together. If you have to run errands, go run all of your errands back to back. If you have a lot of work to do on the computer, do it all at once. It says example, production managers should batch all customer calls in a 1 to 2 hour block each day at the same time every day. In fact, take it a step further and batch all calls from that time too. For example, setting up sub interviews, checking in on subs, etc. And then the next point we're going to talk about is the 80-20. This is called the Pareto principle. It says all actions are not created equal. Using an 80-20 analysis, you can identify what are the least valuable tasks that you do in a week and what are the most valuable tasks that you do in a week. Replace the least valuable with the most valuable, and you'll get more results in the same amount of time. So that first sheet that we filled out where we put in all the tasks that we're doing and then how long they're all taking, I mentioned that I had noticed that I was spending more time watching TV than I was doing Bible study. Now, the real value is from studying the Bible, not from watching television. So that's just like a really quick example of how I can flip those things around. So instead of spending, 4 or 5 hours watching TV every week, I could be spending that time studying the Bible or doing something more productive with my time. But that goes with pretty much everything. 20% of the customers that you talk to are going to give you 80% of the money, that your company is making or something like that. So it's a really good, you can use it for everything. 20% of the workouts are going to give you 80% of the results. 80% or 20% of the food is going to give you 80% of the nutrition that you need for the day. Kind of list goes on there. Interruptions, I hate interruptions. Interruptions will destroy your work efficiency. Put your phone on silent, shut the door, do whatever you need to do not to be distracted from the task at hand. Focus on one thing at a time in blocks with similar tasks batched together. What I like to do, my phone has the do not disturb function. Most phones do now. Highly recommend that if I'm doing some kind of a time block, if I'm doing some different task, then I'll put my phone on do not disturb so I can't be disrupted or interrupted when I'm trying to get into that flow state. It also helps to put your phone in the other room, or just shut it off completely. I really like putting my phone in the other room because even if it's like somewhere in the office near me, we have a tendency just to grab it and check it periodically. So even if it's in do not disturb, we might still reach over and grab it and check it, and then it distracts us. But it's a habit, really. But if you don't have it anywhere near you, then you can kind of zero in on the task at hand. Really good tip here is just to plan more time than you need. If you think something will take you 15 minutes, plan 30. If you think it'll take you an hour, plan an hour and a half. If you have a 15-minute drive, give yourself 30 minutes. Plan for things to take longer. If you don't do this, you are guaranteed to fall behind on your schedule at some point because things don't always go to plan. In the event that you finish a 1-hour task in 1 hour, but planned an hour and a half, you will have some free time. And then you can use random to-do items to fill the extra time, or you can use that extra time to get ahead of your day or on your week. Catching up on email, phone calls, setting estimates, callbacks, checking in on crews, all great things that you can do to fill up your time. So just like you were saying earlier, Corey, declare things as not doing now. So stuff that is not going to deliver immediate success for you or ultimately contribute right now to what your goals are, put that in a not doing now column and just save that for later. Put it on a list of things, which we won't get into all that really today, but that's just a good thing, things that you want to do, but you really shouldn't be doing right now. Planning event weekly. So this could cover a lot and include a lot of reminders that have to do with planning, social event, date nights, kids calendars, active service. But you could also do like, hey, I need to do 10 hours of accounting a week. Let me do them all on Thursday, or let me do 2 hours on Thursday, 2 hours on Tuesday, et cetera, et cetera. So you can kind of put that into your calendar, for me, and I think Corey, you're the same way. I live by the calendar, so whatever I'm doing, I fill out into the Google Calendar, like all the different little time modules, even little tasks and all that stuff, so that I constantly know where I'm going to be going, what I'm going to be spending my time on. Super helpful. Create friends, family calls, events for keeping up with friends and family. The busier you get, the harder it is to keep up with friends and family. So sometimes scheduling it is a good way to remember to do that. Make the event and keep moving it back as an ever-present reminder. Quarterly review of life commitments and calendar. So, every 3 months you're reviewing the list of things that you're not doing now to see if it's time for you to be doing those things. See what you can, where you can make significant improvements or changes. If you're good about tracking what you've been doing, looking at planning out your week, and then at the end of the week, auditing your week to see where did my time go? How much time did I spend on this task? How much time did I spend on that task? And then once you have done that for like 3 months, then you can look back and you can make the adjustments. But as like a rule of thumb, you want to like week to week make those adjustments. And then finally, you have a personal development suggestion. Break it up, not 5 hours straight through in every single day, but frequency makes a difference. So, be working on your development, working through this workbook is a really great place to start. But, there's tons and tons of books, tons and tons of courses, tons of free content online. You can listen to podcasts that are relevant to your industry. I would advise against, listening to stuff that isn't going to, benefit you or further your efforts. Like, you want to spend your time on stuff that's going to actually help you to get more education about, if you're in land clearing, you want to listen to stuff about land clearing. If you're in AC, you want to listen to stuff about AC. If you're into remodeling, you want to listen to stuff about remodeling. If you're a painter, you want to listen to stuff about painting. I would, try to have at least 5 hours a week where you're educating yourself, where you're becoming more of an expert in your field, right? Go through, double check your calendar, go through your life commitments and every action, double check that they exist in your calendar. Anything that's missing probably won't be done and will impact your commitments. And then all day event for follow-ups and all that kind of stuff, pretty self-explanatory. And again, we don't really have time to like go into like how to fill out your calendar with all this stuff, but yeah, I'll share this document for you guys so that you can get in there and look at that. Maybe we'll have another workshop where we'll, implement some of this stuff into the Google Calendar, which is the one that I recommend, but you could use Apple Calendar, Outlook Calendar, ton of different calendar apps. So hope that this was helpful for you guys. Want to give you guys a chance if you had any questions or any feedback or something before we kind of close up for the day. You're welcome to kind of chime in.
Yeah, man, this definitely this is a part of the route. Like, I'm feeling, like I've definitely gotten way off track. And not for bad reason, but like, I just have that feeling, dude. Like, there's just things that I need to be doing. And it kind of gives me a breath of fresh air. Because I'm like, it's like I'm not the only one. Like, I feel so like, dude, honestly, this morning has just been a total disarray. and things just that I wasn't even thinking of that are just hitting me now. And it's like, oh my gosh, you know, so I've got to do something, man. I've got to do something. And I think it's, you know, a lot of it is organization, you know, a lot of it's organization. And I can't continue to do all this by myself, man. I think it's one huge, and when you said, you know, at least spending 5 hours a week towards educating yourself with, you know, what we're, you know, what we're doing for business, you know, is you know, just right on the money, you know. And finding time to do that stuff, it's just like I just need to do it. I need to do it. You know, and so what if like the project, you know, if I'm taking time away from the project to really focus in on some of the things that are, because there's more important stuff than just the work that needs to be done here now, right? And you know, because if I don't, then I'm gonna be here doing this all the time. It's never gonna change, and it's only gonna get more and more frustrating. It's gonna get more you know, there's gonna be more pressure, more stress, you know, more stress. And it's like barreling that way, and like I'm doing everything, every tightrope I have to like pull it from going that way. And it's just these things just like this, man. So I'm glad I hopped on here, dude. And you know, I definitely want to be involved with this. So I appreciate you putting all this together and, you know, opening it up for the first time. And I look forward to diving deeper in it with you guys. And I just know doing stuff like that, you know, doing stuff like this is going to help big time, I think, with growth.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the most powerful word in the English language is no, you know. So, but it's so hard, you know, sometimes to say no to the stuff that's not the most important, you know, because there's a lot of things that are important, but you know, finding the things that are the most important and then say no to all those other things, super important. I just got finished with rereading a book called The One Thing, you know, and the book is just all about like focusing on the one thing that is going to move the needle the most for you, the one thing that is going to be the most important, the best use of your time, that's going to cause you to grow and to cause you to be able to, you know, actually get everything else done. And so kind of the 80-20 rule, you know, 20% of the things that we do are going to provide 80% of the results, but we tend to spend our time on the 20% of the things that don't do anything, you know, the 80% of things that are just wasting our time, you know, that are going to get us 20% of the results. So, you know, just looking at those things and trying to figure out, okay, well, what are the highest and best use of my time? Doing those things first, you know, because then you can do the 80%, because there's way more of the 80%. There's always going to be stuff that you could be doing. But if you make an effort to find out what those most important rocks that you need to move are, move them first. Like for me, it's sales. You know, like if I can do all the sales stuff first before I do anything else, then I can go and I can do busy work. I can do accounting. I can do admin stuff. I can do site visits. You know, I can do other things, you know, and just fill my time that way. But if I didn't do anything else, you know, just do the zero sum, you know, if I didn't do this, how big of an impact would it be? Well, if I didn't do sales, or if I didn't have meetings with my sales team and like be checking with them, you know, then they would not be able to sell, which means we would not be able to have work, you know, in the future. So it's most important for me to be focused on that stuff, you know. But like site visits, like, oh, well, if I don't get to the site visit today, how big of a deal is it? Well, it's not as big of a deal as if I wasn't able to check in on these 3 or 4 clients that we're trying to push across the finish line, you know. But yeah, just wanted to encourage you guys about that stuff too, because it's a process, right? You know, we don't have it all figured out right now, but by putting ourselves in a place where we can like actually start learning how how to be masters of our time, how to be masters of what we're spending our time doing and stuff, not just the time, but like the actions, and not being reactive. But like, if we can get in front of the day, say, I know what I need to be spending my time on. I know what I need to be doing, and then do those things first, then, it'll be easier for us to say no to stuff, because we know what is the most important stuff, and say, hey, this isn't going to get me, like phone calls, people trying to call and have us help with things, or talk about something, or go in and run to a check on something for somebody or whatever. Like, the most powerful word is no, but sometimes it's just hard to say it. But once you get into the habit of saying, no, I can't, because, I have all these different things that I need to be focused on, then you're actually going to be able to get those things done. And then you'll have all the time in the world that you can go and focus on helping other people or doing all these other things and stuff. But yeah, we it's up to us. It doesn't help us. It doesn't help anybody, actually, if we fail, or if we're not able to do the things that are most important for us to grow our businesses, or most important for us in order to complete projects and that kind of stuff. And every little interruption, every little distraction makes it that much longer, makes it that much harder for us to accomplish our goals. And if our cup isn't full, we're not going to be able to pour out into anybody else's cup. And the way that we get our cups filled is by knowing the things that we need to do, making sure that we put those things first, get those things done, and then we'll have enough to be able to fill others.
Well said, man. Well said, brother. Definitely gave me a lot of insight. I've come to the realization of a couple of things too, in just this short amount of time. So I'm gonna, figure out how to balance these emotions, these thoughts, to just continue processing and doing what's best for here now, and to keep filling my cup, man, so I can continue to pour into others.
Love it, man. Yeah, I'm right there with you, dude. I'm big time work in progress. I'm still trying to figure out what's the best use of my time. What are the things that I'm doing that I should not be doing? What are the things that I'm not doing that I should be doing? Let me just share this one last thing that I had. I was reading in my notes, and let's see. And it says the things that we don't have are the things that we didn't believe for, and I just want to encourage you to figure out what am I believing for, and like actually put the effort in towards those things, because we'll be spending our time on a ton of different stuff, but it's not really serving like what we actually want, and that relates to, what are we praying about? Like, what are we spending our time doing and stuff? Like, a lot of times we spend all of our time on stuff that has nothing to do with our goals, that has nothing to do with the stuff that's really going to make an impact in our lives. So just wanted to encourage you to make sure that we're all kind of focused on those things that we actually want, not just the things that are coming up, because things pop up and it's like, oh, this is important. But like, really what's important is the stuff that we really want, not the stuff that kind of jumped in. Like, sometimes it's like the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and sometimes it's hard to silence those squeaky wheels when they keep pinging you, every 5 minutes. Something's always coming up. There's always something that needs to be done. But, if we can have higher value on our goals and a higher value on our time, then it makes it a lot easier to like kind of shoo away the things that are not actually going to serve us.
Understood, man. Oh yeah. Yeah, man. It's like everything you're saying, dude, is like exactly what's happening.
Yep. That's what happens to me. And I'm like, I only have so much time, so I've gotten really, kind of ruthless about my time, that I'm like, I'm not gonna take phone calls that I don't think are a good use of my time, or I'm not gonna go and do things, just because a very high priority to somebody else does not mean that it's a very high priority for me, and that is something that is, the more value I place on my time, the less value I place on the things that other people think are important, because it's just, it's not fair. It's not fair for something that they think is more important to be more important than the things that I think are important, and if you can only please one person, it should probably be you. You know what I mean? It should be God, but it should be you, and like, you got to get out of the, not you specifically, but all of us, we got to get out of the, I want to please everybody. I want to make everybody happy, because like at the end of the day, like if you're filling everybody else's cup, yours is going to be empty. And then once your cup is empty, you can't fill anybody's cup. And then you got to go back and you got to fill your own cup. But if you're still trying to fill other people's cups when your cup is empty, it's not going to be, it's going to be a lose, lose, lose. You hear about the win-win, the win-lose, the win-lose-win, situation. It's going to be lose, 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 because everybody loses, so just kind of, that's where I'm at too, man. It's a process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My partner said it good this morning too. Like, I was like, I'm losing it a little bit, man. And he's like, no, you're not losing. You're learning.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Well, we got a long way to go. You know what I mean?
Dude,
We're super young. I was talking to a guy yesterday. He's 90 years old. And, he's been in business for 60 years, and he's, pretty much retired now. But, I was just talking to him, and he's like, hey, man, like, you got a very, very long way to go. Like, you basically just started, so we shouldn't expect to have everything figured out here in the first 5 or 10 years. Like I said, this man had like a 60-year career, so even if we've been, doing it for 15 years, we're still 25% of the way, so there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot of time to learn it. So, we just got to be kind to ourselves,
Understood, man. Absolutely, dude. Appreciate that. That feels good to hear. And I'm sure that man has lost a lot through that amount of time. And I just, think I'm going through like my first stage of true loss, what it feels like in business right now, because it's just it's like right in that middle. I didn't, it's begun. You know what I mean? And it's like just kind of right in the middle. And I think I'm taking on too much, dude.
yeah.
I need to focus on the one thing that I know is, like you said, it's going to move forward. And that's this remodel. I tried to do the AC thing, took care of it through the summer wrap. But as I, thought like, okay, yeah, I'm going to grow here now. I think maybe I need to kind of set that aside for a minute and just continue to do the AC thing as it comes. And really, this horse behind me or around me, I need to finish. And once I can finish this place and get out from underneath this place, I think it's gonna be that'll be the end of the start, but only just the beginning, right?
Right.
But it's like right in the midst of all of it, and it seems crazy, right? Like, this is good stuff, and just being involved with these calls. Just got to keep showing up.
Yeah, man, for sure. And it's just, it doesn't help us to not do the work, like sometimes like the highest and best use of our time is something that doesn't have anything to do with actually working. It has, like, thinking is like the most valuable thing that we can do. And a lot of times, like, just laying out our schedules, figuring out what is the most important use of our time, and then executing on it and stuff is actually, it takes 10 minutes to plan out your week, but if we can thoughtfully think about where we're going to be spending our time this week and what's going to be the best use of our time, and then sticking to the plan, that's going to be way more effective than if we're just like trying to fight fires as they come up and stuff, because stuff's always going to come up. But yeah, it was great having you, bro. I'm gonna I'm gonna share the book again in the group for everybody to mess around with and stuff, but really getting in and starting to execute these little exercises and stuff is going to be a game changer. I wouldn't expect it to make a super dramatic impact the first 2 or 3 times you do it, but by the time you've done it for a month, then all of a sudden you're like, you have just this immense amount of freedom because, we're never good at something the first time we do it, but the second time, then we're more comfortable doing it. Third time, we're more comfortable doing it. And by the time we've done it 4 or 5 times, we're a master at it. You know what I mean? So,
man, absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
yeah. But great having you, man. Great having you, Kyle, as well. I gotta go run off now and gotta go ride out to some job sites and stuff and make some phone calls. So appreciate you guys being here. It was a solid workshop. Looking forward to next Monday. We're gonna be doing next chapter is goal setting. So that'll be fun. But I'm eager to hear how the week goes. Hopefully you guys are able to use some of these little strategies. I'll also provide the time audit sheet in case that's something you guys want to try to use. We'll have to do another workshop where we go through how to time audit and stuff like that. Because what I like to do is I will fill out those sheets for a week, and then like on Sunday, I'll take 4 different like highlighters and I'll say, I'll highlight I'll group the different tasks, like whether it was like work, whether it was like a Bible study, or whether it was just a waste of time, different things like that. And, it's crazy to see like how once you've colored in those sheets to see how much of those days end up being red, because you wasted time. And I get I'm very critical about where my time is. So even if I was in the car, I'll view that as a waste of time unless there was something that I was doing in the car that was productive. If I was listening to a training or something or listening to a book, well, then I can give that, a green or a blue or whatever the color was that week. But, if I'm just riding in the car and not really doing anything, or if I'm, listening to music or something, then that's just not a good use of my time. Well, then that's red, so just being accountable for our time, that's really the way to move the ball the furthest, like the fastest.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, partake in that, man. And I've seen those sheets that you're with the colors on them, man. So yeah, definitely want to dive into that.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, great having you guys. I'm gonna let you all go. Appreciate you guys being here and look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow night for the call, and then we'll pick up next Monday on the goal setting.
Sounds good, brother, man. I appreciate you guys. It's good to see y'all.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
Have a good rest of the day, guys.
Thanks, man. You too.